Want to get to know your fellow VeeFriend holders before VeeCon? Well, through the VeeFriends family, you'll meet other VeeFriends holders, learn why they bought into the project, and their hopes for the future of this community. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and follow VeeFriends Fam on Twitter to get notified when new episodes air. I'm your host, William Glass, holder of an organized ostrich core. And without further ado, on to the show.
Literally my entire body just started tingling as soon as you came on. I was just like, okay, this is really good. I don't know why. I don't know why the hype level within me physically, my atoms, my molecules are just like,
Fair enough.
So,
no, it's exciting. It's exciting. Have you been able to connect with other VeeFriends holders yet, or?
A little, but VeeFriends, not really. I mean, I have a friend who coincidentally I bought it at the Mint.
Okay.
And I have a friend who invested in it in June.
Okay.
Dude also got a Bored Ape Yacht Club
All right.
in June, right? Like he got it at like whatever 10 ETH or something like that, and of course it's now 40 or something crazy. I'm like, okay, you're a baller. Right?
Yeah, seriously. So nice. Well, I'm excited to have you on and talk, learn a little bit about you and VeeFriends and what brought you into the community. So I'd love to start there. If you could just kind of introduce people to who you are outside of VeeFriends, and then we can dive into what brought you into and met your was it the Generous Gerbil?
Generous Gerbil, yeah.
Generous Gerbil.
Oh my God, my Gerbil. I'll talk about my Gerbil. Yeah, so I'm Brent Kobayashi. A large part of my life is being president of Kobayashi Zeitguys. We're a Toronto, Ontario, Canada marketing agency. It's a 25-year thing for me. Stuff I like to do. I like to create. I love bad. Like literally, if it's bad, like a client is saying, this is happening, it's the worst thing in the world, they shut down my street, I can't get any business, I don't know if I'm like, this is great. Okay, what are we going to do here? So I love that creative process that marketing and business growth does. So it's very cool that I have that kind of company. It actually didn't start that way. It started very IT, and I was just like, IT sucks. Marketing is awesome. Because IT is all cost center, right? And marketing is all, where are we going? How are we growing? It's very forward looking.
You be more creative, at least especially if you pivoted early on in the business, right? 25 years ago, you definitely had the opportunity to be more creative than especially IT back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So
for sure. And I was an IT person. That's why I did IT, because I didn't know what else to do. But people would ask you to build a website. Like, I don't know how to build a website. I'm an IT. I don't draw. I'm not an artist. I don't have that graphic design. So I started hiring people, and I was just like, oh, okay, I like that better. I like having a business where I don't know how to do anything that the business does.
Yeah.
It's not entirely true, but yeah. And then other stuff. I recently started scuba diving. I love adventure. I'm someone who, if I'm going to the airport and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get on the plane in time, that's actually kind of cool. It's oh, right, I forgot my passport. Oh, I have to go back. Oh, this. and then the best thing, and it happens every time consistently, it just right in 15 minutes ahead of stuff like that. Like that to me, I become very alive. So I enjoy those sorts of things. Yeah, and so that's
awesome.
That's who I am.
That sense of adventure. Yeah,
I've got a story.
I've got a story. I got a story for you about a lost passport. I almost mailed my passport before an international flight, which sounds strange, but I studied abroad in Samoa in the South Pacific, and I had a friend in college who was, and this was in college, and he was based in the UK. And so we'd set up where I was going to go and visit him just before the holidays. And so I was flying from Samoa, which is a very warm place, to England in December. And so I had a lot of things that I didn't need. So I was mailing my bag of stuff because I was like, I don't need to carry this all the way to England. And I had a layover in Hawaii, and it's like a Friday afternoon. It's a Friday morning. I know exactly where my passport is. We're like in a cab, so I like shove the bag with my passport into the bag that I'm going to mail, go to FedEx at the airport, FedEx it. And then this is about 7 a.m. And then about 3:30, I realized that I don't have my passport and my flight's at like 7 p.m. And I rush across town to go back to the FedEx place. I'm like, is there any way that my bag is still here? Can I get into it? And the lady was like, absolutely not. And I'm thinking, is there any other way I can get a passport? No, it's 3 o'clock in Hawaii on a Friday, so nothing's going to open until Monday. I'm going to miss this flight. Eventually, I asked someone else, and she can see that I'm more distressed than I was when I walked in, where I was like, I'll get it. And about 10 minutes later, they wheeled my bag out and grabbed it and almost mailed my passport for an international flight. So,
jeez, that's awesome.
But anyway,
and you can feel that whole, I mean, I don't know how, like, it's a good story. Like
it is because I made the flight.
Because you made, well, I probably would have been great even if you hadn't, right? Like
True.
Who would you have met if you hadn't made the flight, or whatever it is, or even how you work with what your body does in those situations. I like those things too. But yeah, I've done that all. I don't know. I remember deciding not to travel with my driver's license and my credit cards and all that kind of stuff, and in Quebec. And now we want to rent a car, and the ladies, well, you don't have any of this stuff. You can't give me a deposit. And somehow, I don't know how, we're driving in this car, no deposit, no license, no ID. And it was a regular car rental thing. It's just like, I was just like, okay, horseshoes. I'm like I've got a lot of them in me. So anyways, that's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know that we'll be able to do a lot of scuba diving in Minneapolis. I'm not that familiar, but we maybe the next VeeCon will be somewhere where you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
But talk to me, Brent. How did you hear about VeeFriends? Like, talk to me about why you decided to mint a generous gerbil.
So, it's so funny. In September, October of 2020, I just had this flash. It's like, you know what? Pokemon needs to be on the blockchain. That would be really great. That's a brilliant idea. I thought it was the best idea ever. And I'm sure I'd heard it somehow, some way, reading Slashdot. It wasn't like and then I didn't do anything with it. I was like, I did a little bit of like, how would we do this? And then NBA Top Shot and everything started blowing up in January. So I started getting into NFTs. This is really, really great. And then of course, I've been following Gary Vaynerchuck for 10 years. And, I dabbled a little bit here and there, bought a little. I was like, moon cats, who are they? I've got some crypto kitties now and all that kind of stuff. As I'm buying a $10 crypto kitty with $100 in gas. It was crazy, right? But I wanted to play with it. Then when VeeFriends came out, it was one of those ones where it's just like, oh geez, I can see it right away. I can see him communicating. The amount of energy that this person, that quite frankly, year over year, has almost drilled in a level of trust for where he's going to go and what's important to him consistently, as in his reputation, his legacy, all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is an easy answer. Super easy. Gonna get it. And so I went in and I looked around, and everything had gone down to the floor, or to the bottom of the auction. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go not just to the core, which was like 0.5 ETH, which was like $2,000 at the time. I'm going to get a rare. And I kind of didn't research it a lot. I just kind of went through it and kind of went with my gut, which part of me is like, oh, darn, I could have got one with there's a signature and there's the number 5 and there's all these little clues that would be like, cool, and empathy and all the themes. And Generous Gerbil, I was like, you know what, I like that one mainly because he has 2 bags of money. He's generous, obviously, which doesn't mean I'm going to give everybody money, right? Even though it has the bag. So there's a little bit of friction that goes along with this particular character, I think, because money, oftentimes people associated that with greed and generosity. People associate that with martyrdom. Like, I just have to martyr myself to be generous. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that went in that. And then as soon as I bought it, I knew. So just so you know, I got it. I paid $4,000 for this gerbil, right? this subjectively, many would say bad piece of art, which I loved to death. I loved that it was this. And I knew I needed to get more. I knew I can go as much all in as I can. This guy is going to put so much energy into this project that there's no way it can fail. I don't know if it's going to be 6 months or 2 years or whatever. I knew that the ROI on it was going to be fabulous, and I didn't. And it wasn't because of money. It was actually because of shame. It was because I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know how to say to my friends, I just spent $20,000 or whatever I had on credit for these things. I could kind of get away with one because I knew I had to have something, and I just couldn't understand how publicly I was going to communicate this. That's really kind of was underlying this sort of general societal, like, this, you're nuts. And so I buckled to the internal pressure that I had on that. And I was like, damn it, I knew it so much. So I got these. Don't tell me. You can ask me later how much I won in. I was like, man. So, yeah.
So Brent, that's that's really interesting because, you know, when you think about NFTs, blockchain, the whole point is that you don't have to tell anyone necessarily, right? Like, you were already thinking that you wanted to communicate this. That's a really interesting kind of insight. I'd love to like try to understand the psychology around like where that came from, that feeling came from.
It's one of the things in that doesn't really, I'm not a very private person in general. Like, if you want to ask me, tell me about, you know, being separated and this and all sorts of stuff, I'm just like, yeah, let's talk about it. There's not a lot of filter I have for most of my stuff. There's very little stuff. There's probably a little bit, but where it's just like, okay, this is just the human experience. Let's talk about it. And so I couldn't see myself, even if somebody would be thinking you're stupid for doing that. And I've had my business mentors say, you're completely off the wall with this thing. I had a podcast where my creative strategist said that's abysmal, right? And objectively, it probably was. Hey, cat.
There's a cat.
What's the cat? There's probably a cat drawing.
Yeah, the black cat, the lucky.
Black cat.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, that's right. That's my lucky black cat. So I just knew that this would be a wonderful thing to communicate. And in fact, since then, so many people, I'm just like, hey, can I tell you about my gerbil? You know, it's a doodle. Let me show it to you. It's worth $50,000. And I love it, and I'm never selling it ever. Like, it's just the joy of communicating. Hey, can I tell you about my gerbil? the delight of that is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how to communicate it, and how much it's connected with me in that sense. So yeah, and my kids are like, what are you doing? Sell it. That's my education. Like, not on your life. I'm sorry. We're two separate entities. You're on your own. I got my gerbil.
That's great. Yeah, no, I love that. And the fact that you were in there for the mint and you watched it hit the floor and like yeah, love that you were there at the beginning. And so what drew you in was the fact that you'd seen Gary and the fact that he was talking about the long term. Did it have anything to do with tangible? Like, I'm just curious, was it just your belief in the fact that he could execute the
It's
vision for the
purely my
project?
belief. Yeah, it was purely my belief. It was purely, this guy's the Oprah Winfrey of business. He's going to, it was purely that, not just that he could execute, it was that, let's put it this way. I think a lot of collectibles and stuff that an artist might produce and give out, it's a transaction that goes from the fans, with the fiscally from the fans to the artist. They've built up a certain level of value within that person's eyes, so that when I buy their sneaker or their label or their shirt or their hoodie or whatever like that, it's a one-way transaction.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to the artist, and fair enough. You've given me something great and I love it, and I want to show the world. This one felt like the opposite, or at least that it was a two-way street. Like, yeah, I got some fandom, a little bit of fandom stuff with Gary, but I felt like the amount of energy that he was going to put into the system was going to be next level, and it was going to be consistent, and it was going to keep on long term. And so it was a very easy, this $4,000 is going to turn into whatever. I actually thought, and I kind of like that it's not doing it. I actually thought that, you know what, this $4,000 thing, those tickets are probably going to go on the retail market. Like, as in, you can come to this VeeCon, but it's going to be a $5,000 or $10,000 conference. So I thought that, so you've got the VeeFriends holders who get in for free, and you've got everybody else has to pay 10 grand to go to this epic thing. And that was going to be a straight up differential. And I recognize that, no, it's about what we're doing right now, actually. Like,
Absolutely.
the reason why we're doing this is because it's like, okay, this is bigger than a straight up transactional.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think that's how I thought about it too, was around, you know what, I can price out the cost of a conference. And if it's a great conference, then it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
especially at a core price, 3 years, epic conference. If I'm spending, yeah, 1,800 bucks, 50, whatever it was, like I can price that out. That seems like a deal. But I also
Yeah.
think that was part of the reason where I ended up in your shoes too, where I got one core, I was going to get a rare, and I thought about getting another one. Maybe I should get two since. And same thing where I was like, well, you know what? I said I was just going to get one, so I'm just going to get one and we'll see how it goes. And, obviously now in hindsight, right? It's like, I wish I would have minted many more, but.
Dude, yeah. Hindsight, I mean, and I FOMO'd, FOMO'd all the way through the summer. I've got a lot of little crappy little things, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay.
So, Brent, what do you think? Like, what's your long-term vision, right? Obviously, we've got Gary's, but like, what's your hope for the community, for, your gerbil, for just the project overall?
So it's this sort of thing, and it's funny. My you talk about the goosebumps and the feels. Again, the book came out. I did the NFT thing with the book. I went all in, and I kind of flipped to the back of the book, and he has some exercises to do, and I was like, oh damn, these are a little bit game-changing exercises if you really do them right.
Yeah.
Which is stuff like, think of somebody who you kind of failed on accountability wise, record a video, apologize for it, hashtag Gary. I'm just like, okay, all right, this dude, and this is what the VeeFriends project is sitting there going, all right, this is going to be my methodology and my avenue tied in with commerce and capitalism and money. And oh my God, my $4,000 investment is $50,000. So now, of course, I'm going to do this podcast with William, because what the F?
Yeah.
And by the way, let's be generous. I've got a generous gerbil. For some reason, bizarrely, I'm like, I should be like generous gerbil. Like, it's weird. Yeah. I'm 53 years old. I own this business, all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, about all of this thing. So I see the vision of just like, let's tie in. Like, that's what I think the NFT space is really cool for. There's going to be a lot of what people think of as greed, which is I'm trying to flip, I'm trying to do this, I feel bad, it went down, I'm angry, all that kind of stuff, which is great. We're gonna work through all of that emotional stuff. But yeah, it's connection, it's following, and they're not new. Like, everybody's talked about accountability and all this stuff, but from a different angle, with a different energy, with a different thing, with now a connection with actual tangible fiscal results, which is important in this world. So yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question, but it's as close as I can get right now. So my hope is that this is just another lever on the world becoming a better place, because you're looking at, and I love all the tactics, your 5 a.m. tactics, your morning routine tactics, your black cats involvement tactics. And a lot of the business books talk about how to do emotion. This is just another angle, talking in a different way, with an energy which I can see it in the Discord. I can see it in the community, where it's just like, yes, let's consistently, like, it's amazing. It's amazing when somebody says, this is bullshit, or it went down, and I'm hurting, and you lied to me, and you pumped this up, and now I've lost money on this. And the gentleness and the catch that everybody does, and says, yeah, I get it. No, and boundaries, like, actually, this is how, this is what we're seeing. But, because again, you hear Gary, like, he's like, if you are hating me in the comments, where are you coming from? What's going on with you? Are you okay?
Yeah.
That's like, again, entire body reaction to that sort of thing, because that's how you build a better world. So yeah, there you go.
I like that.
VeeFriends is world peace. There you go. That's it.
There it is. I love it.
That's my vision for the community.
We can hit it right there. Yeah. No, yeah. I love that. I love that. And I think you're right, especially like the joy and the kind of positivity that's especially in the VeeFriends community. And you also see it in certain parts of the other, NFT space in general. But there's a lot of like joy and happiness, and people love their doodle drawn gerbils and, hand drawn, because it's, it's theirs. And there's this whole level of ownership that I think is being brought to it. And yeah, I love that piece and kind of the building each other up even when you're down, that's going on in the Discord and in the community in general.
Well said.
On that note, Brent, I'm curious, what is there anyone that you want to give thanks to or express gratitude to, whether it's in the VeeFriends community or just in general, in that same kind of tone of what the community is all about?
Interesting ask. So I'm in the Discord, but I'm not in. I'm going to give thanks and gratitude towards you, William. This is the first real full-on connection. I've had communications. Oh, you're an artist. How can I help out a little bit? Oh, let me look at your stuff. Like, there's a little bit of that light touch kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm really busy running my biz, so I'm, my VeeFriends Discord is very much, what are the announcements? What's the Gary Vee message tracker saying? Which projects might be coming down? What's he saying about this? What candy stuff am I buying? Great, that's it. Out, right? So there's a little bit of that. So this is a lot of gratitude, because this is a really great vehicle to sort of know what I want to do, which is start spending more time within this community. I used to do a lot of stuff within the WordPress community. I ran a bunch of 3-day largish conferences. I was the lead organizer. I didn't run them, I co-organized them. And so I know what community means for me and how valuable it is, both for my just general enjoyment, as well as it usually bleeds out to many other things as a result. So I'm looking forward to being louder. I've been quiet.
Okay.
And so quiet in my life in general. So just sort of getting in there. So that's you're the one.
Well, I
You're it.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. No, and you know, before we hopped on, you asked the question if this was going to be live. So I'd love also if there's feedback as we get through this of how we could bring this, because you know, as you said that, I'm like, man, that would have been cool if we'd been able to interact with other VeeFriends. Like that makes so much sense. I've just always done recorded podcasts, so that's what I know. But I think you're right. There's an opportunity to kind of make this more engaging. So I'd love, you know, feedback and thoughts on how can we go beyond just this one-to-one, which I still think is really important, and also being able to share your stories and same with other individual stories. But how can we really develop a community that's not going to be just a weekend in Minneapolis and a lot of Discord convos?
Yeah. So just to give you a sense of that, kind of where I come from this, and I kind of feel like so I did this show, COVID Marketing, just when COVID hit, just said, we need to do this, did it every day for a long time, put like 140 episodes in the can or something like that. And it was live.
Okay.
And there is for a couple of reasons. One, I love document, don't create. So if you're going to do this live, then you can edit it down later. So bring people in, maybe there's some interaction, maybe there's no interaction at all. But for me, at least, the live ups the energy.
Yeah,
That
makes sense.
It ups what I am doing and thinking and engaging. It's just knowing that there might be, and quite often like 1-2 people. There's nothing happening, right? But there's just this sort of feeling, and I can see with you, you're really great on camera. You're dynamic. You got that. I feel like that energy might be interesting for you as well. So it'd be fun to play with, is what I'm saying. It might be for you. And then absolutely, that's the live version. Social media forgets that very quickly. Right? It was there in the moment. It's gone. It's not going to be there. And 2 or 3 people, or however many people, will interact with it. And then you cut it down and you put the header and the footer or the intro and the outro and all that kind of stuff. And whatever it is that you're going to do with this. And that can be the published on YouTube thing and the republished on Facebook thing and LinkedIn and stuff like that. Yeah. That's how that was the methodology that we had done. And so I encourage you to do that. It can be a lot of fun. And with VeeFriends,
I think you're right.
Come on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're right. So I will take that feedback and see how I can implement it. Cool. Asks from the community. So, you know, is there anything that you're wanting to, or that you need, or you'd like to have conversations, or types of people, or things that you need, whether it's business, personal, adventures, things for VeeCon? This is your ask, your moment. What would you like to ask from the community?
All right. So a few things. One, connect with me. I want to connect with you. LinkedIn, search for Brent Kobayashi. Twitter, @Brent Kobayashi. You put them in the notes or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
Instagram @Brent Kobayashi. And probably first two asks. One is, I do marketing, I do business growth. I love working. We have some big clients and some small clients and all that kind of stuff. I love, if you're having any challenge, like if there's a bad in your business life, let's connect. I haven't built a $60 million wine business or a $1,500 thing. So I'm not your guru, but I'll think about some ideas, and maybe some of them will land and they'll be valuable. Other the clients we work with seem to enjoy and value what I have to give there. So that's one. And if you're willing to come on a show, like I've started a podcast as well, because again, I got 480 of these.
Love
so
that.
Two things. Come on my show. You need to come on my show, William. We're going to talk about, emotions and all the feels, all the biz, all that kind of stuff. Yep. You're on. You're already.
I'm down. Yeah.
You're down. Perfect. Giving away these, of course, on the show. And here's the big ask. If you have any creative ideas on what you're doing with your books or what I could do with 480 books, let me know.
Yep, I love that. I didn't get 480. But I got I think I got 36. So I don't have quite as many to give away as you do. But I love that. We're gonna need to get creative. I think it was like over 1 million books were ordered on that first day or something. So
freaking brilliant. So that's where I was just like, you know what? I'm ready to tell the world I just spent $16,000 and bought 480 books, because that whole lesson that I got from my VeeFriends, or like, I don't know if I can, that's too crazy. I was just like, all right, that's it. That was my limit.
Yeah.
Not my limit that I think I could communicate. So that was like, okay, got it. And now I'm pissed off because it's like, it's great. I'm going to have these NFTs. I can do all of this stuff. It's a business expense. I can give them away, all that type of thing. And I'm going to flip them, these NFTs. And now it's like all these collectible stuff. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have to hodl these things. Darn it. Oh. I'm very curious what happens on that one. It's like, how long can I hold my breath with Gary Vee stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Brent, I want to thank you for sitting down, and thanks for being a part of the VeeFriends family.
This is amazing. Thank you so much, William. And we'll message and we'll get you on. Right now, the working title for my podcast is 480 Podcast.
Okay. 480 Podcast.
480 Podcast, subtitle, #all the biz, all the feels. So yeah, awesome. Look for #480 Podcast for now. Don't know what it's going to be in next week or the following week, as my team sort of tries to catch up with what I'm doing. But I'm saying we're going live. I'm sorry, I got 480 books. They arrived yesterday. We're going live tomorrow. That's it.
Love it.
The rest of it will figure itself out.
Exactly.
All right.
Awesome.
Dude, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thanks for sitting down. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Who's pumped for VeeCon? Smash that like and subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you are a fellow VeeFriends holder, I'd love to have you on the show. Shoot me an email, VeeFriendsFam@gmail.com, and we'll get something on the calendar. I'm William Glass, your host and holder of an organized ostrich core. I'm wishing you nothing but the happiness, and I cannot wait to meet you in person at VeeCon.